Let's talk about that right now with Washington State Congresswoman Cathy McMorris Rodgers. She is the chairwoman of the House Republican Conference, a member of the House Energy and Commerce Committee as well. Congresswoman, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us once again.
Thank you. Great to be with you.
What happened last week? Did we actually turn the page? Are we closer than ever in terms of a health care bill, possibly this upcoming week?
Yes, we are moving in the right direction. We're having those important member-to-member conversations. It is our priority to move a health care bill out of the House and rescue people from what is a failing law. Obamacare, although well-intentioned, we continue to see the premiums go up, the co-pays, the deductibles. We need to be providing the American people a better health care future. And that is our goal as we continue to have these conversations. And I'm very optimistic that we'll move forward very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, it just definitely feels that way. I was told that perhaps you even had the votes last week, but you didn't have all of the members there for one reason or another. Some people just were not there to actually officially vote, but it looks that close.
Well, the legislative process does take time. There's 237 Republicans serving in the House of Representatives. They come from all different corners of the country, different regions. I'm proud to represent Eastern Washington. But each one needs to make sure that they understand what's in this legislation. They have questions that need to be answered. We're very close, and when we have the votes, we will move this bill as soon as we can out of the House.
Now, before that, you'll have to vote on a spending bill, right? How close are you there? Are you going to get that omni-spending bill out before you're voting on health care?
We'll see what the timing is. We do need to get a spending bill to keep the government funded, finish the budget that between now and the end of September. We're 99% there, working in a bipartisan way. So this has been House and Senate Republicans and Democrats working with the administration on a spending bill. Clearly, we want more accountability, more transparency. We need to make sure that we're continuing to bring down the deficits and bring down the debt that's in this country.
Yeah, and of course, then the work on tax reform, I guess, begins. And within that white paper that the president unleashed last week in terms of the tax reform package that he'd like to see, you know, he was talking about doing away with all sorts of taxes, certainly from Obamacare. I know you've been working on fighting those May 5th regulations by the FDA. Talk to us about that and why you think that this is so important in terms of getting rid of some of these regulations and taxes that were present in Obamacare.
Well, yes. So Obamacare had nearly $1 trillion in increased taxes. We also saw many, many regulations, hundreds of regulations that came out of Obamacare. One of the most burdensome was the menu labeling regulations that went way beyond what was ever intended. The menu labeling requirements now on delis, grocery delis, any food establishment in the country. So I am leading an effort to bring common sense menu labeling. We're not getting into the debate as to whether the calorie counts are going to be required, but to do it in a common sense way. For example, you look at a pizza shop that 34 million combinations of pizza, and the FDA has been saying, no, you can't put an iPad in there and allow the customer to actually go in as they're deciding what kind of a pizza they want and the toppings that they want on that and be able to see in real time the calorie counts. You need to put it on a menu board. Those kind of requirements do not help us accomplish the goal.
Wow, talk about Big Brother.
That's right. We need flexibility.
You what to eat and how much of it to eat. Let me ask you, Congresswoman, about tax reform, because I guess last week really kicked off this conversation in a much more sort of specific way than we've been having. When would you expect the House Ways and Means Committee to start marking up the white paper that President Trump put out? And are you expecting the kind of fight on tax reform that we saw that you had over health care? I mean, why would we expect that you won't have another major battle here when it comes to the border adjustment tax, when it comes to the deductions that the president would like to eliminate?
Well, we are excited to move forward on tax reform. This is a once-in-a-generation opportunity to relieve the American people of the tremendous tax burden that they currently have, allow individuals and families to keep more of their hard-earned dollars, and simplify the tax code, bring down tax rates, close loopholes. We are united around that goal. The Ways and Means Committee has been working for weeks, months on tax reform, so a lot of the preliminary work has been done, and that's what gives me encouragement. I'm thrilled that the administration is made this a top priority. This is our time to do it. And yes, there's going to be, members that bring different perspectives and different priorities to this debate, but we are united around a goal of simplifying the tax code, bringing down tax rates, closing those loopholes, and that's what's going to keep us on track.
Do you need to be budget neutral when thinking about this tax reform package? If you don't have a border adjustment tax, which would have raised $1.2 trillion or so, if you don't have that in the tax package, do you want that $1.2 trillion to show up somewhere else, like a reciprocal tax or an import tax as it relates to trade policy?
It is my goal that it's budget neutral. And the reason that is important is because it gives people the certainty beyond the 10-year budget window. When George W. Bush lowered tax rates, we had tax reform both in 2001, 2003. You'll remember at the end of those 10 years, we had the fiscal cliff because those tax rates were set to expire. I believe it is important that we give people and businesses the certainty beyond this 10-year budget window. And the way we do that is by getting to budget neutrality so that those rates stay in place beyond the 10-year window. So that's my goal as we move forward with tax reform.
Is there any other lever to push other than like something similar to a border adjustment tax? Where does that revenue come from? If you don't have a border adjustment tax and a tax reform bill, how do you make that revenue up?
Well, that's all part of the discussion that we are having as we are moving forward with tax reform.
All right, we will leave it there. Congressman, so it was a pleasure to see you. Thanks so much.
Thanks. Have a great day.
We will see you soon. Congresswoman Cathy McMorris Rodgers.